Southern is coming off of a game at Western Michigan and now prepares for a road game against Arkansas State. A game will take place on Wednesday, October 5th, and will be televised on ESPN2, set for a 7 p.m. Central Time kickoff. Coach, before we get started with any questions, can you give us your thoughts on last week's game against Western Michigan and the upcoming game against Arkansas State?
Yes, sir. Well, certainly appreciate, again, y'all having me on today, giving me the opportunity to speak. The next thing I would say is one outstanding job that Coach Fleck and his staff and his team have done up at Western Michigan. We went up there this weekend feeling like we had a good opportunity to play well against a good football team. And at the end of the day, two football teams were very similar between us, teams that run the ball with a lot of efficiency, teams that are that don't necessarily want to win the game throwing the ball, and teams that do want to be able to sit there and manage the clock and play good defense. At the end of the day, the difference in the game becomes 2 turnovers by our offense that they capitalize on, and then it winds up being a special teams play that they capitalize on. And at the end of the day, when you're playing good football teams like they are, certainly having already beaten, Northwestern Illinois and beating us, that they've proven that they've got a good football team and they've got an opportunity to make some noise in the big picture moving forward for the rest of the year. And so a lot of credit to them. We've got to find a way to cut out those 2 or 3 things and do a better job of finding a way to win the football game. Right now we're sitting here at 3-1, getting into a tough part of our schedule where certainly, we don't play at home on a Saturday until the last game of the season, first weekend in December. From this point forward, we've got a couple of Thursday night games coming up, but those are still 4 or 5 weeks away. So we're getting into a tough road for us, and we've got Arkansas State coming up. Arkansas State and Coach Anderson and his staff obviously have done a tremendous job through the years, and obviously Arkansas State being a place that is certainly, either won the conference or been right in the thick of it for a number of years, despite numerous head coaches. And great football school, great tradition, and great job by their administration with everything that they've done. Blake and his staff are sitting in a position right now where obviously, they're looking to win, and no better way to do it than to get Sun Belt game in Georgia Southern and get the ship righted on national TV on a Wednesday night. So trying to make sure that we can get our ways back on track. They do a good job, obviously, offensively and defensively, and they got good players. And we certainly understand here at Georgia Southern that they're going to do everything they can to get back on track, get in the win column. And we're trying to make sure with everything that we can do that we're going to be prepared as we can be to go up there on a Wednesday night in the national platform and be able to play as well as we can to give ourselves a chance to be successful. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Coach. As a reminder to members of the media on the call, please press star 1, your telephone's keypad at this time, for any questions for head coach Tyson Summers of Georgia Southern. Coach, before we get to that, Darius Phillips last game had a few game-changing plays, 100-yard return for a touchdown and interception for another touchdown. I mean, can you talk about his play on Saturday?
Darius Phillips, number 4 from Western Michigan. Is that what you said? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was I misread something. I'm sorry about that, Coach.
Okay.
I actually wanted to ask you about Fabian Upshaw, his play on Saturday against Western Michigan. He tried to get the ball running, and passing-wise, he tried to get it going. What was Western Michigan's defense doing against you that couldn't quite get it started?
Well, I certainly think they played with their numbers in the box like most teams have. They're athletic on their edges, and at the end of the day, what they didn't do was they didn't let us get a big play out. And while we certainly had our opportunities for plays, and we still, wound up rushing the ball for over 4 yards, we carry. At the end of the day, there's not a lot of plays in that football game. I know that sounds like a silly thing, but when you're talking about just series between two offenses that are trying to run it, and both teams were playing against defenses that really didn't allow them to run it. We averaged right at 4 yards a carry. They averaged around 3.7 yards a carry, and two teams that kind of got forced into having to throw it. And for us, again, if you take away We had some explosive plays. Obviously, the first big throw that we have of the game is to Wesley over the middle of the field where we score on a long touchdown. And we have a number of big plays in that. We completed 9 passes, and I think we were almost 19 yards of completion the other night. And if those become our explosive plays, we certainly want to continue to have an opportunity to win the running game. But, at the end of the day, the pick six, he winds up getting hit as the ball's being thrown, winds up being short. Obviously, number 4, their cornerback, is an explosive player, scored 2 touchdowns the other night. He brings it back. If we're able to take that piece out of it, then, again, we wind up being where we want to be, in my opinion, taking those 2 turnovers. Those 2 turnovers were just absolutely critical for us. But, we're in a situation where each offense only winds up playing 9 to 10 series throughout an entire game because you got 2 running ball teams, 2 clock management teams. It's hard to score a lot of points. So for our offense to be able to put up as many as they did, I didn't think there was a negative with that, again, outside of the 2 turnovers.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go to questions from Troy Schulte of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Okay.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, Troy, how are you?
Good. Hey, I was just curious if you've gotten to, how far you've gotten into just kind of film on Arkansas State and kind of what your initial thoughts are, particularly on offense, of what you're going to see on next Wednesday.
Well, they're certainly a talented team, and known Blake. Obviously, we go back to, when he was at Southern Miss and I was at UAB a long time ago, and then turned around and known Buster Faulkner for a long time. And you got good players. Certainly, you got good receivers, 2 good quarterbacks that are playing in and out, and 2 good backs, and a big offensive line. And so watching up there to know how explosive, they are and can certainly be. And you got multiple weapons and guys of what they're trying to do. So I think, certainly we're going to have to get prepared for tempo, and certainly going to have to get prepared for some of the explosive plays that come off of it.
Yeah. And do you have just a general reaction to them being kind of winless at this point? They were picked second in the league. I mean, coming off the league title, is that surprising at all to you, just to be sitting here a month in and that's the type of team you're kind of preparing for?
Well, again, you can say whatever you want to say. Toledo is a really, really good football team. Utah State is a really good football team. Had to go against them last year. Auburn obviously is one of the year in and year out, typically one of the top programs in the country. And at the end of the day, they lost to a game the other day that I'm sure they all wish they had back. But when you start off your season at Toledo, Utah State, and Auburn, those are hard things, and with a very difficult schedule. So by no means do I think that anybody there should be sitting there hitting the panic button by any stretch of the imagination. Again, I look at Toledo and Utah State as 2 of the best teams, in the group of 5 that are sitting there playing. And Auburn obviously, speaks for itself, their tradition and their history. I certainly know that the players are the same players and coaches are the same coaches, and that they're going to get rolling here at some point in time. We just hope that we've done a good enough job in our preparation that it doesn't happen next Wednesday night.
Cool. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Troy. We'll go to Justin Baxley now with the Macon Telegraph.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you, Justin?
Doing well. I have just a couple quick questions. You guys are coming off a loss, and they're coming off 4 straight. Both teams are going to be hungry for a win. What kind of atmosphere does that create?
I think it'll be a good atmosphere. It's been a long time since I've been to Jonesboro, but I certainly think, obviously, the opportunity for it to be on a Wednesday night, be on ESPN, and be a national broadcast game will bring a lot to it. But you're also talking about, 2 teams that, in my opinion, haven't had the opportunity to play each other the last 2 years. This will be the first time with Georgia Southern in its 3rd year of the Sun Belt Conference at Arkansas State, and Georgia Southern had the opportunity to play each other. And certainly you're talking about a team that won the league last year and then a team that won the league the year before. And the 2 past conference champions sitting here playing against each other. So I think it'll be a great atmosphere. I know how they love football at Arkansas State, the tradition of that place. And certainly know Coach Anderson and his staff will have those guys ready to go. And I know the Arkansas State fan base will be chomping at the bit, looking better for nothing more than to get their first win of the year versus Georgia Southern.
Coach, what what is it like, finally getting a chance to play against them? Last year they did win the league title, but you didn't really have a chance to, play against them and have a say, I guess, in that. How do you feel about finally having the chance to go up against them?
Well, we're excited, certainly about the opportunity, but for us, it's like anything else. It's the next game on our schedule. It's the next game we sit there and talk about having, 12 one-game seasons, and that being our focus, and that be our lock-in, and that be what we've got to worry about, and not to look ahead, kind of go through the process the way we need to, and focus on the moment, focus on the play, focus on the opponent, and that's what we've got coming ahead. So that's who we have is Arkansas State, a team that we know has a lot of tradition, a team that's had a lot of success, and that has good players and a good coaching staff, and so that's who we're looking forward to play next Wednesday.
Thank you, Coach Summers. Those are all the questions we have for you today. We appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you all so much.